My friend, there's a big chance that how your guitar is set up at the moment is having a negative impact on your progress and sound as a guitar player. We all know that you don't want action this high, where you could basically fly a plane through the gap between your strings and the fretboard. But the very common myth that the lowest action you can possibly get out of your instrument is not only wrong, it's insanely outdated by now. And I think around 80 to 90% of aspiring guitar players are working with the wrong settings when it comes to their string height, because I was too until a couple of years ago. So in this video I will show you some helpful exercises that you can try out that will help you with finding out if your guitar is set up correctly. And later in this video I will also show you my personal settings so that you can give them a try if you want to. Just one very important thing before we get started with today's video. Everything I'm showing you today is basically just a preview of what awaits you in my online guitar academy on patreon.com/Bernd. Members over there have access to 12 full guitar technique courses, 5 incredibly helpful music theory courses, and 4 home recording courses in addition to over 300 guitar lessons. And there's even a brand new personal coaching tier. In case you want my personal feedback when it comes to your guitar technique and progress, we just opened some new limited slots for this month. Everything was basically sold out a couple of days ago. So click the link in the description or in the first comment down below to see if there are still some openings. I'm waiting for you in my online guitar academy on Patreon, but for now, let's start with exercise number 1. Alright, so this one is all about finger control. As you could see, I was skipping between different strings. So I was starting on the high E string, then I was playing on the G string, skipping the B string, and then on the low E string, skipping the A string. And when I had my action set up super low on my instrument so that the first frets were always kind of buzzing, that did help a little bit with running quite fast through scales with alternate picking. But when it comes to hammer-ons and pull-offs like this, where I have to skip between the strings and I need absolute control with my fretting hand, there were always some issues with unwanted noise. It sounded something like this, because with very, very low string action, it's very hard to get that necessary tight snapping movement when it comes to your pull-offs. Because when I push down right here with my index finger and I make the strings super flat and I try to perform some hammer-ons and pull-offs, it does kind of work, but it feels super weird to me because my fingers aren't really locking in with the strings for clean hammer-ons and pull-offs. They're just kind of touching the strings without really interacting with them because they are so close to the fretboard, as opposed to a clean and controlled result like this. When I do this, the fingers aren't simply touching the fretboard like this. I really have some interaction with the strings. I can feel my hammer-ons and pull-offs, and that really cleaned up my fast legato lines. It greatly improved my finger control, so I could switch between different strings without generating that nasty unwanted noise with legato, but also with alternate picking and sweep picking. And believe it or not, it also made me much faster because I could really feel the interaction between my fingers and the strings. So if you're having problems with playing this first exercise beyond 90 or 100 beats per minute, it might not be the fault of your fingers. Your action may be way too low or way too high. But before you change anything, let's try something else. Here's exercise number 2. Alright, so for this one I was only playing on the high E string. So I was only playing one picking stroke for the entire exercise. The rest of the notes are hammered on or pulled off. And when I had super low action on my instrument, this was really hard to do. And this is actually something I see a lot in the personal coaching group, where most rock and metal guitar players don't really hammer on and pull off. Especially with super low action, they just seem to touch the fretboard like this. As you can hear, that results in a ton of unwanted noise, especially if you're not muting with your picking hand. Because when you're just hammering on the neck and then you're removing your finger, you will never get clean results out of your legato playing or out of anything really with your fretting hand. You need to develop a controlled motion like this. So once again, I'm really feeling the snapping movement when I'm playing like this, even when I'm speeding it up. So it doesn't look like this, touching the neck and then removing my finger. It looks like this. There's an actual movement. And once again, with extremely low action, I could never really get that nice snapping movement. And And by the way, all of the exercises I'm showing to you in this video are part of the brand new Finger Technique workout package. You can download this one in my Guitar Academy on patreon.com/bernd as well. As always, the package comes with helpful play-along videos at very slow tempos and also faster tempos to challenge yourself. You get the PDF tab sheets, the guitar profile, and some backing tracks with and without my guitar. So if you're actually serious about your guitar progress, it's a no-brainer. Just sign up today on patreon.com/bernd with the link in the description or in the first comment. Download the brand new practice package and get access to over 20 online guitar courses right away. Now here's exercise number 3. Now this is something I've observed with players that work with very low action on the instrument. When they're playing riffs that include hammer-ons and pull-offs, especially on the lower strings, they once again get a lot of string noise like that. Sound something like this for a lot of players. And the reason for that is the lower the action of your strings is, the easier it is obviously to get some notes out of the instrument, which can be a good thing, but in a lot of cases you get some notes that you don't even want to play and a lot of noise when you transition in between the strings. So if you're especially having issues with faster hammer-ons and pull-offs on the lower strings, this is a really great exercise for that. So the goal when you're practicing this is getting really clean individual sounding notes. So in case you struggle a bit with playing fast and clean hammer-ons and pull-offs on the lower strings, give this exercise a try. But let's move on right away to the most challenging finger exercise of today. Let's see if you can do this. It's pretty hard. What you just saw is a 4-note per string pattern, and the challenging hammer-ons and pull-offs make it a great factor for your string height. So in order to stretch this far for these shapes from the 5th fret to the 10th fret, for example, you definitely need your thumb behind your middle finger to make that possible. If you move it up here, you can't really do that and your hand looks pretty weird when you do that. So in order to stretch this far, for example, from the 5th fret on the high E string to the 10th fret, so from A to D, I definitely need my thumb in the area behind my middle finger. I could even stretch to the 12th fret. And once again, with that special exercise, I really want to make sure to get nice sounding hammer-ons and pull-offs. Again, I don't just want to lift my pinky finger like this. As you can hear, there's a lot of string noise coming from the strings if I do that. Even at fast tempos, I want super clean hammer-ons and pull-offs. I want to feel every single note that I'm playing. I want to feel the snapping movement. And then I move this pattern through the scale, which results in some really uncomfortable finger rings. So this is definitely the most challenging exercise out of the ones that I'm showing you today. But I think these quite awkward 4-note per string patterns will really help you with figuring out the right string height, so the right action for your guitar playing. Because once again, if it's too high, it will be impossible with those 4-note per string patterns to get nice sounding notes. It will feel exhausting and like your hand is falling apart after a couple of minutes of practicing this. But this probably concerns more players out there. If the action is way too low, you once again won't feel the nice snapping movement. You won't really feel in control of your fingers, and that also definitely won't give you the results that you're after. Now, before I show you my personal settings on my guitar, I have one last exercise for you, and this one is actually a recommended daily workout when it comes to your finger control, your finger strength, and your hammer-ons and pull-offs. Check out this cool exercise. It's really satisfying once you're able to play it. Running through scales at a relatively fast tempo with hammer-ons and pull-offs is not only super fun and very satisfying, it's also only possible, for me at least, to get fast and controlled results like this if the string height is not too low and also not too high. So once you figure out the right setup for yourself, I recommend a daily workout routine like this, where you're running through your favorite scales, just to build that finger control, finger independence and speed when it comes to your hammer-ons and pull-offs. Just a super satisfying thing to do every single day, and it will keep you busy for quite a while to get it very clean. But as I promised at the start of this video, of course, I also want to show you my personal settings that I have on my main guitar that I both play live and in the studio pretty much all the time. The reason why I'm showing it to you at the end of this video is because I don't just want you to imitate what I'm doing. Every guitar player has different preferences when it comes to this. I was just one of these people who thought the lower the action, the better. So for 15, 16, maybe even 17 years, I went for super low action on all of my guitars. And as I mentioned at the start, that really held me back with my legato and also with my speed. I was playing pretty fast, but I was pressing way too hard and I got quite a lot of unwanted string noise here and there. So I took some pictures for you. This is what my string height looks like at the 12th fret on my guitar. This is the Ibanez measuring tool that you get when you buy one of their guitars, I guess. What's also quite important is how it looks at the 1st fret, because I definitely want to avoid any kind of string buzz. And to also give you a measurement somewhere in between the neck, this is how it looks like at the 7th fret. These are the settings that work the best for me at the moment, and I don't really feel like experimenting more or changing it. As you can see, it's not incredibly high, but it's also not so low that you get some buzzing strings or that you don't really feel the hammer-ons and pull-offs anymore because you barely have to press down on the neck. So give that a try if you want, but I definitely encourage you to find your own way of doing this and your own settings that feel good for you. As I mentioned, the exercises I showed you today should be a great indicator for the string action on your guitar. And to get the most out of today's video, I recommend downloading the full practice package I made for you on patreon.com/bernd. You can find the link in the description and in the first comment down below. As I mentioned at the start of this video, you get immediate access to 12 guitar technique courses when you join there today, 5 music theory courses and 4 home recording courses. So pretty great value out of a very cheap membership. We just opened some limited slots for this month, so click the link down below to see if there are still some available. I'm waiting for you inside my Guitar Academy on Patreon. Have an amazing day. Thanks for watching and bye bye.